Going into this field of entrepreneurship and having to learn things like marketing and accounting and, customer services. How did you deal with that?
This is not something that you learn like that. Each market is different, and especially when you are your company, and this was my case, there is also your personality. So you cannot market yourself as another coach would market himself or herself. As Vince Lombardi says, like is when the preparation meets the opportunity. So you need to create the opportunity. You need to go outside, you need to meet people. Sometimes it will bring to nothing, sometimes it will change your life.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Junior Gladiator Kidpreneurs. Today we have Carmen Rotilio in our studio. Carmen is an executive coach. She's the founder of her own business called Leave Your Mark, and she has over 17 years experience in executive coaching. So Carmen, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Angela, for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
My pleasure.
So just before we go into your business, I'd like you just to explain a little bit about who is Carmen and what do you do?
Okay. Carmen Rotilio is Italian, but I want to precise I'm Sicilian because my family comes from there, and I'm very proud of it because it's part of my personalities there. And I'm an executive coach since 2006, when I changed totally my career after 20 years being a manager myself in a company, in a corporate. So I'm passionate about business and passionate about people, and doing executive coaching is the perfect match of both situations.
So it's quite a big step, excuse me, to go from being in that safety role of a manager for a big organization, because the companies that you worked for were quite sizable organizations.
Multinational.
To then leave that and then go into coaching and then be into the entrepreneur field. What made you decide to make that switch?
Actually, it was quite scary at the beginning because I was, as you said, it was really a safe environment, huge company, multinational. I really enjoyed actually working there because I had amazing opportunity of traveling and doing amazing stuff with this company. I would say, and this is part of my journey, tribe is very important. The people you are surrounded by is very, very important. The people who are talking to is very important because they can inspire you. I arrived at a point where I had nothing to do more in this company, nothing to give, nothing to take, but I was stuck because I thought this was my word, And talking with a friend of mine, she said, okay, well, you know what? She was a colleague. Why don't we bring a little bit fresh air in our brain? Because we are talking corporate. Okay, was our words. And so we went back to university.
Okay.
And we decided to start for something that we were passionate about. It was sociology. And there, when you put your foot in a place that resonates with you, you will very quickly find your way. And there I realized how passionate was relations stuff, dynamics between people. And since I was working, single mom with a daughter of 12 and studying in university, I went to school for memorizing, and they taught me how to use the brain to be more effective.
Interesting.
Because it was a coaching school. I said, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This is what I want to do. Because I was able to work all day long in my job, coming home, taking care of my kid, and studying to prepare myself for the examination at university. And this was feasible. And this was even passionating, even though it was quite a lot. Okay, and so I decided to resign and starting my career. My husband, he got a huge play on that because it also inspired me. He was an entrepreneur since I was a kid. And so he showed me that it is possible. When you want to do something, it is possible to do. And so I jumped into this adventure, and people told me, you're crazy. But now when I'm gathering again with my ex-colleagues, they say, oh my goodness, Carmen, we envy you because you're really fulfilling your life. I'm still so happy, so full of life. I'm doing amazing things around the world. And so, I'm so happy with and so grateful, honestly.
But I can imagine it wasn't always like that, because I know that jump from, because I was also in corporate, to go from corporate to then entrepreneurship. When we've been in entrepreneurship for many years and we look back and now we're in a healthy position, it's great. But that transition from suddenly having that safety net taken away and then going into this field of entrepreneurship and having to learn things like marketing and accounting and, customer services, all these things that somebody else would do when you're working in a corporation. How did you deal with that? 'Cause for me, entrepreneurship is a minefield. I mean, there's so many plates that we are balancing at one time. How did you mentally go from this position to then, okay, now I've got to handle all of this?
Doing a lot of mistakes and a lot of stupid things as well. I mean, this is not something that you learn like that. Even though because each market is different, and especially when you are your company, and this was my case, there is also your personality at play. I mean, so you cannot market yourself as another coach would market himself or herself. Okay, so. Honestly, I'm not someone who jump in the black without thinking, because, as I said, I was a single mom. So for me, it was very important because I had a fiancé, but I mean, I was on my own, So, and especially I wanted to be on my own. Otherwise, there is no reason for being independent. And so what I did was, okay, I will resign. I will have enough money for 2 years, okay? For 2 years, if I do not change anything about my lifestyle, I can try this new adventure. I can do all my tests, all my thing. And this was my first mistake. Because when you say to yourself...
It's a comfort zone, right?
No, because if you say to yourself, you have 2 years, guess how long it takes to me to become totally, again, independent financially? Exactly 2 years.
Isn't it funny how we program the mind to believe something and then it takes us on that journey subconsciously?
When you plan something, you have to be aware that in the meantime, you're putting some boundaries, to what is possible. So this was, I realized after that it was my first mistake. But still, this gave me the, let's say, the quietness I needed to think about what I wanted to do. And so I started to, babysitting my daughter coaching my daughter babysitter, because I had to train. I did my master in coaching, but I had no experience at all. Okay, I was more experienced in negotiating with my importers than not doing coaching to someone, which is totally different thing. So I started with her, and she succeeded.
And how old is she at this point?
This girl, she was 25. Okay. And she succeeded in the coaching goal. And I said, oh my goodness, this is really working. I couldn't believe myself. This is amazing. And so this, the quick wins are very, very important because you grow in confidence. And so I was growing in confidence in proposing myself to customers. And very quickly, honestly, I passed from life coaching to corporate coaching because this was my life. This was when I'm talking to manager now, I train more than 4,000 managers around the world. I know exactly what they're going through. I know exactly which are the dynamic, and this is a plus in the coaching. So what I did, simply, I put myself out. And I did some events where I was inviting my friends to come, invite people to see what coaching was, what was talking about giving proper feedback, what was about talking about syndrome, imposter syndrome, what was about to set a goal, what was about. So people could see how I was treating those matters. And doing that, being outside, connecting dot, people know people. I had the amazing chance to have in my class someone who was working in a huge corporate in the learning and development department. And he invited me to go there. And to do the training for them. And this started my career in big corporation because then manager meets me, refer me to other managers in other company, and this is how it worked.
So it's that little break. I think being a successful entrepreneur is a combination of skill and there's a little bit of luck thrown in. being in the right place at the right time, having the right conversations. So obviously in your case, you were able to meet the key people to get you into those companies.
This is true. I was definitely the right person in the right moment, in the right place. As Vince Lombardi says, luck it does not exist. Luck is when the preparation meets the opportunity. So you need to create the opportunity. You need to go outside. You need to meet people. Sometimes it will bring to nothing. Sometimes it will change your life, you know. So, and the fact of being there outside, train yourself also to be even better in introducing yourself, in being aware of what are your real skills, how you can make the difference for the others. So being the right person in the right place does not mean just wait to find the right place to show up. Means go around, meet people, having always clear in mind what you want to do of your life. This is for me crucial. This is for me crucial because this gives you the resilience also, you know, and the faith in going on. Because I still remember how scary it was at the beginning of my career, looking my agenda. At what time? At that time, it was a physical agenda, okay, and seeing that everything was totally blank in front of me. But if I was looking backwards, okay, I did that. So maybe tomorrow something will be in the other pages, you know. So having this confidence is very, very important when you are an entrepreneur, and asking yourself, okay, what I can do to fill those pages with the opportunities and the experience that really fulfill myself as a professional, but also as a person. Because for me, it was easier to find, people wanted to do life coaching. And then rather than entering in huge corporation without having a huge company behind me. But this is not what I wanted to do. So you have to figure out, okay, how and what I have to do to enter my dream customer, you know. It's not always easy. Sometimes a little bit of luck, you need it. But luck is there, running around, and if you are not in that place, you will never find you.
And I guess for you, going into the corporate world was a familiar zone for you because you'd worked in that area for 20 years.
Yes.
I think if you're coaching and suddenly you try to branch into the large organizations, the gap is very, very large. It's very difficult. But for you, it's a familiar ground.
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, there are also coaches who are, because I'm working in news corporation, it often happens that I'm co-animating class because there are huge classes sometimes. Okay. And there are colleagues who are just having a academic background. And they're doing a beautiful work, honestly. It's not mandatory having an experience in corporate. Let's say it might help. Sometimes it can be also a little bit challenging because I was coming from a specific industry for 20 years. And when you change industry, dynamics are totally different.
Of course.
So in life, and you were mentioning that I'm working in corporate around the world, okay? And when you change industry, when you change people, when you change culture, it's always a matter of first step, understanding who is in front of you. First step is how can I align myself to this person in order to be able to help this person. So having a corporate background was helpful. Sometimes I have to step back from my biases, from what I knew, unlearn in order to learn again what was the best way to help these people there.
Amazing. So now you have your business, which is called Leave Your Mark.
Yeah.
How long ago did you set up this? Is it just your own business, or are you working alongside? It's your husband, right?
No. My husband is doing other things.
Okay, so you're not working together.
Yeah, we have different consulting and coaching industries, totally different. He's in real estate, has a huge experience in that. I'm doing more really coaching on soft skills for managers. But
you're both still coaches.
Okay, I mean, this is funny because when I decided to start my journey to become a coach, and I started my training in NLP, in MBTI, which are all the tools you need to be able to help others. My husband said, no.
Don't use this on me.
No, he said, I will come with you because no way that you're using those strategies with me, And, but also it was very important for him because as an entrepreneur, as a manager of his team as well, he needed those tools to be more proficient and more ready to deal with people who are changing over time so quickly, very well, right?
Yes, of course. Interesting. But do you find that in the dynamics of your relationship, if you have conflict, I often wonder if coaches use their, skills and strategies during conflict at home, not in the workplace, but at home. Absolutely. Do you bring those skills into your home environment as well?
Honestly, yes. Honestly, I can tell you, okay, I had up my previous relation with the father of my daughter when she was 5. And when I became a coach years later, I always I was thinking, if I knew that at that time what I know now, maybe we were still a family, And so doing coaching, it helped me a lot in my relation because even though you are totally aligned with the person you are with, there are conflict moments, of course. There are. And even though you are a coach, you're not always in the right mood, in the right position to be in perfect control of the communication. But what we learned very quickly is that if we are not in the right mood to have a nice conversation, then we don't have a conversation at all. Mm-hmm. So for us, it's very important to say, okay, we know exactly how we will go. So we stop now, we step back, take our time to relax, take our time to reflect on what is really important in this discussion. And then when we are quiet, we will take the topic. And this is helping us because now we just celebrated 25 years together.
Congratulations.
And still in love. Incredible.
Oh, I love that. Which I think is a secret because when you get into these heated moments, there's only one way this conversation is going to go. There's no resolution when everything's irate and everybody's angry. So to be able to have that wisdom to step back, give yourself time and space and then readdress whatever the conflict is. I think that's great advice.
And also, another thing that I guess not because I'm a coach, maybe because just simply I'm old. You learn very quickly that.
Not old, wise.
Okay, wise. Okay, no. What I say normally is I'm young since so many years. Okay.
I'll go for that. I'm with you on that one.
Okay, and what you also learn is that there are things that you can change. There are things that you compromise. There are simply things that you have to accept as they are. Full stop. Mm-hmm. Also, when I'm helping managers, sometimes I'm working with very big CEOs of companies, okay? I can consult them, but they are the CEO. And so the last decision is there. And this is also with the people. You can help people. You can suggest people. You can find a compromise with people. But at the end of the day, this is their life. And if you want to work along with someone, you have to understand that you cannot demand to change people totally just to adjust to your ambition, to your dreams, to what you want to do with your life. Okay, you have to consider, you have to keep focusing on what you like and accepting what you don't. Mm-hmm. This is life.
And also accept people for who they are too, which is a valid part of leadership. Yeah. Understanding your own personality type and then understanding other people's and how to bridge that gap with communication. What do you find, Carmen, is one of the biggest issues that leaders today face?
Okay, I think there are two big issues. One is the real crazy fast pace. Okay, and we are used to deal with time, trying to organize our time and trying to fit all the things that we need to do in the time that we have available. Now we really need to change this perspective and trying and really working on prioritization and doing things differently. Okay, not doing more things, but doing things differently. And so time management is really something very important. And because we cannot do things as we did before, is not possible. Impossible for human. Sorry, my English is not so proficient. I'm always talking French here in the way. It's crazy. So time management is very, very important for them. They need to learn how to prioritize, and so they need to make the reflection: what is really important? What is making the difference? What are in all the 100 things that I have to do? What will be really impactful on the goal that I have in the short, but also in the long term? And so this is very important for them. The second challenge is that new generation are coming in. But often, especially in the huge corporation, there are fresh, there are new way of doing in life that have to match of old structure, old procedures, old organizations. So this gap is like a Niño, to ocean meeting. And they have to rethink not only the communication, but also how do they organize the job for those people.
But hasn't it always been like that when you get the younger generation trying to blend and cross-work with the older generation? There's this conflict of, I guess, doing things and mindset.
Yes. The fact is that if I think in my time when I was entering the first time the corporate world, and it was the last century, isn't it crazy to say that?
I know, it's quite depressing, but anyway, let's not highlight that fact.
I love it because I had the pleasure to live so long, So it's true, there was this conflict generation, but the fact is that we young people had to adapt ourselves to the structure of the company. Okay? Now, it happens today that the structure of the company are no more the best, nor for the young generation, nor for the customer. The new demands, So they have to rethink totally everything. And the manager is like, you have been taught in a way, and you have to teach others in a different way. You have to unlearn to relearn again. Okay? And so in this sense, the new generation coming in are at the same time a challenge, but also an opportunity.
Because they bring with them all these fresh ideas, this fresh way of thinking.
Exactly. So the challenge is not really to teach them how to do things. The challenge for the manager is switching from, since I'm the manager, I had to take the decision, to, since I'm the manager, I had to become a coach of my people in order for them building and finding the right solution.
And empower them to have the strength to be able to share ideas.
Exactly. But combining this with the feeling of not losing power is not that easy. Because when you empower people, you have to build so confidence that they will not become you should empower people, hoping that they will become even better than you are.
But then you've got this, I guess, in this male-dominated corporate organization, you've got this ego self that is then saying, I don't want to relinquish this power or this position that I have to then somebody else, because then I become obsolete. So I can understand this conflict in the mind.
Exactly. And the problem is that you cannot solve this conflict only coaching people to change mindset. Because if at the end of the year, the manager, at the moment that they have the evaluation conversation with the HR, they will be evaluated on the outcomes they produced, okay? And that's it. They will try, of course, they will try to do everything they can.
To secure their role.
Exactly. And so, for example, in a very, very innovative, this is really an old company with a very new brain inside this. I love this company. I cannot mention, but I love them. What they did, we spent 3 years doing coaching to all the managers, okay? There were 700 managers in Italy and other 600 all over the world. On a training which was named motivational training for manager. Okay, so we taught people how to detect the signs of demotivation, what were all the practices they could do to motivate people according to their personality, their age, their expectations. So this was amazing. Okay, and we got nice results with the people. But at a certain moment, I discussed with the director. I said, "Listen, if you really want to switch the mentality, we have to do something on how you evaluate those people." And so at the end of the years, they had got on their evaluation sheets both outcome, what was production or logistic, marketing, depending on the position, but also how many people you motivate this year. So they got a goal at the beginning of the year. We create with them the KPIs to measure the motivation of the people, because how do you know?
How do you measure the motivation?
Exactly how you decide that people are not motivated. Okay, because everything is expressing in attitude and behavior. So how do you know that some of your employees is more motivated than one other? You transform this.
You can see it in the, as you said, in the behavior. Are they coming to the office on time or early? Are they staying late? Are they smiling? Are they moving quickly around the office?
Exactly.
Compared to those that, just sit and are disinterested.
Are they bringing you problem? Are they bringing you solution? They bringing, are they proposing innovation? There are a lot of things that you have to read. Of course, all of them have to be seen in the complex, because if someone is always late, maybe it's a sign of demotivation. Maybe this person is really having a real problem at home of organizing his life. So it's not really that he is not loving his job. Maybe he doesn't know how to put all together with the family.
And I guess also you also have to look at personality styles, because somebody could be really deliriously happy in their role, but they're an introvert.
Exactly.
So they don't speak out, they don't interact with others, they just sit and they do their work, but they're very, very happy in what they're doing. So that also needs to be taken into consideration.
That's why when we decide KPIs can never be generic KPIs. Otherwise, it's like, nobody is eating 1 chicken and a half, which is the statistic, okay, per day in some region. And so what you do when you set the goals for the manager, say, okay, this year, with whom you want to commit yourself to make sure that these people increase its level of motivation and engagement. So they decide with whom to work, because maybe they feel that this person is not giving at the most of his potential. Okay, and so we decide that we're going to work with Mark, and there, since they learned during the training how to understand Mark, his personality, how do you know that Mark is not motivated, for example? And how do you know, what do you expect Mark will do or will show in order for you to know that what you did is successful, for example? How you will have the conversation with Mark. So we will create the KPIs for Mark. Okay. And sometimes we involve Mark in this, having an open conversation and going to Mark and say, Mark, I have the feeling you are not really enjoying your time here. What I can do for you to make your 8 hours, 9 hours with us something that helps you to fulfill your life, your desire, your ambition. And already just the fact that the manager is asking this question.
They feel seen.
Oh my goodness, people are feeling someone cares about me. And there is this kind of feeling of reciprocity. If he's caring for me, if he's doing his best to make me happy, what I can do
to give back to him.
To give back. I
True.
mean, if he's trying to make me happy, why should I not do something to make myself happy? You know?
course, yeah.
So this is really, really powerful. And I can tell when you do that to people, when you do that to your husband, when you do that to your children, it makes a huge difference. It makes talking to your children and saying, okay, I'm seeing that every time I'm asking you that, you're not happy at all. You go with tantrum. Mama don't know how to help you. How would you like to do that?
And then you understand. I have this conversation with my kids. I often say to them, what is it? Because I read the book, The 5 Love Languages, which is one of my favorite books for relationships. And when I read through the chapters, and it says, we all have different ways of receiving and giving love based on our own requirements. Yeah. And I actually sat the kids down. I said to them, what is it that I do that makes you feel loved? Because I know that I'm loving them in the way that I receive love. And it was interesting because for one of them, it was just time. Just spend time with me. Don't kiss me, don't hug me, don't touch me. Now I'm very tactile. So the first thing I do when I see my kids, I engulf them in this hug. And I didn't realize that that was actually an irritant for him. But just to sit with him and watch him play a game or ask him about his day, that's when he receives. Whereas my little one, he's very tactile like me, so he's okay with my affection. But to understand, okay, this is the way that I need to communicate with you for you to feel heard, special, loved, is very different to what I was doing. So I can see the link there with also in the workplace as well.
Absolutely. You can imagine for a manager, someone who is ambitious, means doing the things that he did to become a manager.
Of course.
And this is a huge bias. I mean, also accepting that not all the people are ambitious. They're happy to be there to contribute for what they can because they have other things in their life. I mean, we should never pretend, we should never demand people doing what we would do, but doing what's the best for them. And this is a win-win game.
We've actually, I understand that. We've made that mistake in our own business whereby we've seen people that are excelling in certain fields and then we give them a promotion. They never asked for the promotion. We didn't discuss. We thought because we're ambitious and we're entrepreneurs, this will feel great for that person to take on more responsibility. And in those situations, not all the time, but often there's a breakdown then because they didn't want to take on this extra role. There was no conversation. It wasn't a two-way. So I can see that because we've made that mistake also here.
Yeah. And sometimes also, another thing that I love, for example, with this model MBTI, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, which root on the Jung preferences profile of personality. What I like is that everyone is expressing his leadership in a total different way. Everyone is fulfilling his life in a totally different way. So the mantra of this model for me is stop doing people what you would like others do to you and start doing people what they would like you do to them, which is totally different.
Makes sense.
That's why, the challenges today for the manager is stop giving suggestion and start asking question. I should summarize with that. When you ask question, when you involve people in the conversation, with taking your brain totally blank to be ready to receive whatever is coming, which is so extremely difficult, because as a manager, as an entrepreneur, we are trained and we are reinforcing our brain, observing, find quick solution and go for it, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really an effort to stay still, step back, and simply listening and taking the time to absorb as much information you can to form another idea of the situation, which is totally maybe different of what you thought it was. So this is the challenges today, because you have to do that in a very quick way. Ooh. But there are strategies, and I think strategies, how to hack your brain are really, really important. I can make you an example. Normally, people at the university take lessons, go home, study, go take the examination, and they continue like that. I did university while working, okay? I couldn't do differently. So I had 2 hours per evening to study and the weekend to prepare myself. After 1 day of working. And also I was working with my brain, so I was totally tired.
And then you're parenting your child, which is also exhausting mentally.
Exactly. Everything, I can tell you. It was more exhausting organizing everything to for my child than going and study, for example. That's for sure. The fact is that the first month I started studying, it was so terribly exhausting. It was, and I was even not at page 50 of the first book. I said, okay, I will graduate myself at
10 years from now.
If everything is going well. I said, okay, there is something I can do. I have to do differently. So that's why I went to this school where they were teaching how to read quickly and how to study quickly.
Interesting.
So when you have to put more ambition in your work, stop thinking to put more energy and start thinking to put more strategy. Otherwise, you will not do that.
Find a better way.
Exactly. And I was able to prepare myself 2 hours in the evening. So this was my routine, daily routine. In the morning, prepare my daughter, going to work, coming back at 6, saying to my daughter, okay, darling, you go to your room, you play with whatever you want to play. At 7 o'clock, mom will be for you, completely dedicated to you. Okay, so this was, and I put my clock at 7, and from 6 to 7, timings. I had my technique with my mind mapping, and I was doing totally focused. I had also my training on how entering in total, concentration. I was doing this until 7. After 7, I was fully dedicating to my daughter. Nice. And so I overcome my sense of guilt because I was working all the day. I was doing my university. And I could come and achieve doing my graduation right in time. And it was amazing. No effort.
You must have felt when you graduated, knowing that you'd regimentedly stuck to this routine. At the end of all that, then you graduate. I mean, that feeling must have been so incredible for you.
Yes, it was incredible. And I can tell you, it was incredible. As always, when I'm so happy to do things, always a little bit of sorry because it was over. It's crazy for me. Every time I'm working in a company, doing a training with this manager, and it's so intense. Everything is intense. We're doing a lot of things together. You can feel people transforming, having those haha moments, And when you arrive at the end and they're so happy, you are very happy and you say, oh my goodness, it's like, I don't want to use this term, but you got quite addicted, to those intense pleasure.
It's because you lead with your heart, that's why. You're not doing this as a job. It's something that you feel so passionate about. And when you love something so much and then it comes to an end, it's a loss. It's almost like grieving because it gives you so much fulfillment and so much happiness.
Exactly.
But I think that's what sets you aside from other coaches out there that maybe don't have that same level of passion. And that's why you are as successful as you are, because people feel that. And when they feel that you are genuine and that you care and you have their best interests at heart, it's like going back to the story that you said before with the manager and the employee. If somebody sees you and feels you and hears you, you want to perform for them. Absolutely. And that's what you are. You bring that to them so they feel that. How do you deal with, one thing that I wanted to talk to you about was this whole topic around imposter syndrome, because I really faced this in my career. Before we came to Dubai, I was in medical sales and I was a regional sales manager. And I'd worked for this company for a number of years, and then I was promoted to national sales manager. And it was very much, okay, you've gone from regional sales manager, now you're national sales manager, and now you're managing the team that you were one of, and now you've got all this responsibility. They didn't do any transitional training from how to go from regional to national, and I really struggled. And I remember going home at night after a full day of work and nearly having panic attacks. How do I communicate with this team now that I was one of them and now I'm not above them, but I'm on a different level? And I really struggled, and I didn't actually know that it had a name. I didn't know that it was called Imposter Syndrome. It was years later through my own personal development that I realized what that was. But I think that's really important to highlight when you are transitioning into a different position, that you do have this training to change that mindset. Is that a big issue that you see when new managers go into a new role? And how do you coach people through that?
Okay, imposter syndrome, I should say, is very, very common, more common than you think. Sometimes people are aware, sometimes people are not. Sometimes people give to this syndrome different names, okay? Honestly, I should say, if you live imposter syndrome as you should live every negative feeling, this will serve you amazingly. I mean, imposter syndrome is a bad feeling, okay? You don't feel like to be legitimate to be in that position. Or you are afraid that others don't see you legitimate in that position, which is quite the same, not really the same, okay? So it's very common, and as much as you are ambitious, the more there is this little voice behind. Are you sure you are ready for that? Are you sure you deserve that? Are you sure you're good enough for that? There is always this little voice that tries to protect us, from failure, try to protect us from feeling miserable because we don't feel accepted, which is one of our ancestor need to feel part of a community. So this is really common. And one effective way, I suggest manager to overcome this feeling is every time you hear this little voice, choose another louder voice telling yourself, leave it. Just focus yourself what you can give to these people that they will appreciate. What is in all the things that you are, all the things that you know that can make a real positive difference in these people. And if you focus on that and you let your action be driven by this focus, for sure you will do something that people will appreciate. And there is one little law, very important law in the relation with others. It's almost impossible for people loving you if you don't love them, unless you have some pathological psychology situation. Okay, you are like a sadist. Okay, and on the other hand, it's almost impossible for people not loving you if you love them, if you care of them.
If they feel that real, of course,
because
emotion.
If you love them, if you do something for them, if you put them at the center of your action, of your way of doing things, of your objective, involving them, maybe they don't like you at first. Maybe they are angry, they are mad at you because you were the chosen one and they were not. But on the long run, they've admitted at least that you have one quality. You have good taste because you love them, Yeah,
of course. And that then builds that relationship, I guess, as long as they feel. They don't feel that suddenly you've become this hierarchy that's now looking down. I'm still one of you, but I just have a different role.
Exactly. So honestly, for me, with a manager, is always being focused positively. Just when there is a small voice telling you you're not good enough, you say thank you to this voice, because it gives you the opportunity to actually make a list. What do I need to be exactly the person who is able to fulfill this task, to fulfill this responsibility. Okay, so you have to take this little voice who is trying to protect you and say, okay, thank you. Maybe I have to review all my qualities, all my skills. I have to do something for that in order to be ready. And so instead of passively, leaving this bad feeling, you're using it to push you forward, to push you to do the things you need to do to become the person you want to become.
So reframing it in a different way.
Yeah.
And I think also when I went through this whole transition, I actually hired a coach or therapist to guide me through this phase. And one of the things that she said to me was, just be aware of where that voice comes from. Because that voice doesn't really come from you. So where does it come from? Is it from a parent? Is it from a teacher? So I started on this journey of healing, of self-healing. And I remembered moments in my childhood, at school actually, from teachers that would say, you're not good enough, you talk too much, you don't listen. All these phrases that I think had imprinted in my own mind. Yep. And then when the pressure was there, all these voices came back again. So to work through releasing those, acknowledging them, they're not serving me anymore, and letting go. But it's a never-ending journey, isn't it? We're always learning and changing and discovering. I guess even for you now, you've as you said, you've managed you've coached over 4,000 managers, which is a colossal amount of managers. No. But still, what do you come up against? What barriers do you face in your own personal development that you have to work through?
Okay. First, I want just to make a little step back, because there is a little trap there in what you just said, because it's very true that those little voice may come from your childhood, for example, from people saying to you that you're not good enough. But pay attention. Sometimes your imposter syndrome can come from people telling you all the time, you're amazing, you are the best, you can do it.
So the opposite, that suddenly you have to be this incredible human.
I was the first daughter, okay? I was the first child in my family. And I can still feel my mom in my ear saying, oh, you're the wisest. Oh, we count on you to take care of the others. Oh, I know that you're doing this so beautifully. Okay. And I can still feel this sense of pride of being appreciating from my mom.
But also the responsibility of carrying the others.
The pressure of doing things so perfectly, and that this became my worst challenges, the perfectionism, So never having this voice saying, oh, you're doing this beautifully, better than others. You're always the best. I was the first at school. But this was always a pressure, what you say, yes, you can, is a huge responsibility, because it means that everything is on us. It means like we erase all the others which are part of the equation. Okay, so if the relation with your husband is not going well, is that because you were not good enough in that,
then you
should have to take care of the relation, But there are others in the equation. What we are telling to managers, you are going to learn how to motivate people, but you have to start to accept that you are not going to motivate all the people.
Correct.
Because people that have their own story. Maybe this moment is not the moment for them to be motivated. This moment is the moment for them to be let alone, quiet, to grieve for what they need to grieve, to overcome their imposter syndrome, to overcome their problem at home. You can learn, which does not mean that you are perfect. And this is another trap for the manager. You are the manager. You are not demanded to be perfect in every decision. Because if you think that you are perfect in every decision, you will never delegate others. Because if you do not accept your own mistake, you're not ready to accept the mistake of someone who are delegating.
Isn't this just like parenting?
Exactly.
It's literally mirror and match from what we go through as parents.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I was telling my daughter, and I'm still telling my daughter, I love them so much. I love her so much. She's my light. I often tell my daughter, and I'm terrible at that, but now she's ready for this. She's 30 now. I'm telling you are a Ferrari, okay, who is driving around like a Cinquecento, a Fiat Cinquecento, okay?
Oh my gosh.
She has so much inside her. When she wants to do things, it's so easy for her. She's so talented. And my daughter taught me that actually being talented does not mean that you have to do something special for that, because the others are expecting that. My daughter said me, Mom, I know I'm talented. Thank you, darling. Thank you, Mom. And I decided that this is the way I want to live my life.
And I don't have to prove myself to anybody else.
And I said, oh my goodness, she's teaching me something.
Don't you find they always do? I feel we learn far more from the kids than we can ever teach them. I mean, just the whole mindfulness. I have so many conversations with so many professionals, entrepreneurs that are desperately trying to master this mindfulness, because we all have this million miles an hour monkey mind. So we practice and we practice to be mindful, and yet you look at a child, it's just not, they're just in that moment. Yeah. Whatever they're doing, they are engrossed in that. Yeah. And then we unravel all of that by keeping them busy and do this and do that, and then we've got to go back and relearn again.
Exactly.
So I think if we just look at kids and how they really are in their essence, we have so much more to learn from them.
Honestly, for me, good parenting, unfortunately, I discovered that when my daughter, she's 30. So I can give now good advice for her.
For other parents as well, and for her. Exactly. You'll be the perfect grandma, by the way.
And no, I wasn't at all. But I think that parenting is, as you said, is really much like manager. Is about listening the preferences of child, offering them the opportunity to test different experiences, but let them really having the time of diving into it at their own pace.
Mm-hmm. To empower them to make the decision for themselves.
Exactly. Because one pressure is on the time, okay? Because we believe that, they should understand immediately how to play with this game, for example. No. Maybe they want to use the guitar to
as a hammer.
As a hammer, for example, okay? Because they're just discovering, discovering. And so letting them and listening to their pace, their preferences, and being there really a coach for them, not trying to impose our vision of life, but trying to help them to discover what is giving them joy as the most challenging, because sometimes what gives them choice is so far from our idea
what we expect
of fulfilled life,
It's very true. And I guess their world is very different to ours anyway. This whole digital era coming in and the things that they're exposed to. We didn't have any of that when we were kids. No. Playing out was a regular thing. Now, to get the kids out of the house is a challenge in itself, so the whole shift is very, very different.
Absolutely.
Does your daughter, is she involved in any kind of coaching? Has she followed in your footsteps? Is she interested in what you do?
Okay, this is very interesting because, at the beginning, when I became a coach, it was very hard for both of us because I was studying, I was working, I was trying to figure out. And but at the end, she was really, really happy with my decision because we were spending more time together. Mm-hmm. Because
quality time.
Yeah, quality time, but also physical time. Because doing coaching means for me that I'm preparing my training at home and then I'm going to deliver them. So it's not the classic 9-6. Sometimes I'm working abroad. And so I was staying 3 days, 4 days, 1 week abroad. And then I got 3 days totally for her, for example. Okay. But so the interesting thing is that she was always telling me, Mom, do not do coaching with me, okay? I know what you're doing there, okay?
Don't use those skills on me.
Don't use those skills. Okay. I said, okay, I will be your mom. You are punished,
Go to your room.
Go to your room, But actually, and this is very important for me to bear in mind, even though they choose a different path and she's not doing anything like coaching, even though coaching helped her a lot, because she was listening, because I changed my way of doing parenting for sure, because you change. When you're doing coaching for others, you are coaching yourself first of all, okay? You are at least more aware, or what is the impact of your words, what is the impact of your behavior. But what I really learned with her is that the true core values as passing, not through what you tell your children to do, but what you're doing.
I agree with that so much. You
So-
teach by show. They learn by observing and seeing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even though she wasn't happy because I was working and studying and doing a lot of effort. So of course our time was quality time, but at the beginning was not that much. But still, she was, in the meantime, she was so proud of me. And she know exactly that when she wants to achieve something, she had to work on it.
Of
She had to
course.
fight for it.
And also, she's seen mum do that. She saw
Exactly.
these values of working and
Exactly.
pushing yourself and improving.
Exactly.
She's observing subconsciously, okay, if mum, is out there working hard and pushing herself, I can do the same.
For example, I think the one thing that she really learned, and I'm so happy, and was something that I wasn't meant to teach her. She's like others said, Mom, but why are you changing your job? I mean, you have amazing job. You earn good money. Why? And I was telling her, because I'm not happy anymore.
Important, so important.
I don't want to stay in a place or in a relation when I'm not happy for too many days in a row. And I cannot do nothing to fix it, because sometimes you try. I did everything to try to refine some motivation, some vibe, but my head was focusing so many other things out there to do, more exciting to discover. And this is something that finally she got inside her. And I remember asking her very often, Chiara, are you happy this morning? And in the evening, how was your day? Did you enjoy your day? Mom, why are you keeping this question, asking this question all the time? Because I said to her, your life is a finite time, and you have to do every day something that brings joy into your life.
Very good.
And she seems annoyed by that, but from one hand, she was seeing that I was doing the same with my life. And from the other hand, I know that she integrated so much because she's doing exactly the same for herself, and she's repeating the exact same word to her younger cousin.
Interesting.
And every time she's a little bit upset, she's asking her cousin, what are you doing today to make your day worse to be lived,
That's when you know
joys.
that it's gone through and it's gone
Exactly.
in, when you see them replicate.
Exactly.
Amazing. Carmen, I've loved this conversation. Now, if anybody wants to reach out to you, how do they find you?
Leave Your Mark or Carmen Rotilio. You can find on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and as easy as that. I am totally open. There are telephone number. Even private telephone number, because my life is my job. So you can reach me like that.
Perfect.
With pleasure.
Thank you so much. And we will link all of those social platforms underneath, and your website, of course, underneath the video.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
Wow,
Angela.
thank you so much, Carmen. Thank you for your time. Do you know an hour's gone by already? Time just flies when you're having fun.
Yeah,
so it's been my absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining Carmen and I today in the studio. I've loved this conversation, and I think I might try some of these strategies with my own kids when I get home today. So we'll see you next time. Thank you.